So the question reads, what is the total number of artifacts in the vault? Okay, great. So again, what we want is what is the total number of artifacts in the vault? And so there it is. Let's make sure we underline that. Total number of items in the vault. Everybody, quick question. Quick question. When we're looking for the total, so the grand scheme, everything all together, what percent does that really line up with? The whole thing? The whole thing lines up with what percent? Yeah, that lines up with 100%. The whole thing of anything is 100%. So here's another hint in terms of how to help you understand whether you're looking for the result or the original. Here it says, what is the total number of artifacts inside of the vault? Another way that you can think about that is, what is 100% of the vault? Again, what's the total number of artifacts inside the vault? What makes up 100% of the vault? What is the total? Finding a total and the original, most times, more often than not, is the original. Finding the total can be linked to finding the original. Does that help anybody out in their understanding in terms of maybe potential mistakes that you've been making so far? Again, the total, finding the total means you're finding 100%. The original amount is 100%. So that might be a little precursor to understanding that we are indeed working backwards. So with that, let's go ahead and see this play out. So a hidden vault holds ancient artifacts. Researchers discovered that 47% of the artifacts, amounting to 752 pieces, are in pristine condition. Let me write that down right here. So it says 47% of the artifacts. And so this basically means 47% of all of the artifacts is equal to being in pristine condition. So are in perfect or pristine condition. Take that phrasing. So we are going to take that 47% and turn that into a decimal. The word of means multiply. And again, it says 47% of the artifacts. So all of the artifacts, the total, 47% of the total are equals perfect condition, pristine condition. Everybody, which of these numbers do they give us? Is the 752, is that representing the total artifacts, or is that the number in pristine condition? Which one is that going to be? Yeah, in pristine condition. Read the context. It's always important to do that. The researchers discovered that 47% of the artifacts, which amounts to 752 pieces, that's what basically saying 47% of the artifacts equals 752 pieces. So with that, booyah, 47% of the total equals 752. To get this problem correct, everybody, do we multiply or divide? That's going to be division all the way. So we'll divide by 0.47 on both sides. Nice and easy. And from here, we're good. So let's zoom on in a little bit, and we'll have ourselves 0.47 in the denominator, and then 752, I believe it was, up top. So we're going to move that decimal place over as many times as we need to. 1, 2, 1, 2. So this turns into 75,200 divided by 47. And sometimes there is no quick mental math. Sometimes you just got to divide by this ugly number, 47, a prime number. It's going to make things a little difficult, but that's fine. Here we go. 47 going into 75,200. So everybody, 47 doesn't go into 7, but how many times does 47 go into 75? Yep, that's going to be once. So we end up putting down a 1 right there, minus 47. And so now we have 5 minus 7, can't do that. And we're going to have to borrow a little bit, and that's okay. 6, 15. So now we have 15 minus 7, and that's going to be 8. Then 6 minus 4, that's going to be 2. Next, we drop the 2 down, and we have 282. Everybody, how many times do we want to guess that 47 goes into 282? All right, some folks are saying 6, so let's give it a shot. So we'll do 47 multiplied by 6. 7 times 6, that's going to be 42. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 4 is 28. So we have 282. Cool. Sounds good. So that is a perfect division there with the number 6. So minus 282. That's going to be 0. And then from there, when we drop this 0, okay. And then when we drop that 0, okay. And so the amount that we have, the original amount in that collection, is going to be 1,600. And that's why B is the correct answer. And exactly, Louis, if we're trying to find the original amount, it's going to sound like we're trying to find the whole thing or the total. Correct. So in this case, the word total meant that we're working backwards to find the original. Yeah. The original amount is 100%. 100% is the total, is the whole thing. So I'm glad we're still having those light bulb moments. I'm glad that we're continuing to really push forward and understand the nuances as opposed to just memorizing questions. Like, this is what's ultimately going to lead to success. So with that said, my party people, I believe we have time for one more. We good to go? All right, sounds good. Let's give it a shot. Here we go. All right, now up next here, we're trying to simplify. What we've got going on is we have two trinomials and they're subtracting. So we have 7x squared plus 3x plus 18 minus this entire group. So let's go ahead and make sure we understand what we're trying to figure out. Because when you look at the question, it says, what is the constant term of the result? Quick question, everybody. What is the constant term? What does that mean in any situation? The constant term is the term blank. Who can explain it? Who can communicate that? The constant, not coefficient. Yeah, the constant is the term without a variable. The constant is the one without a variable. So if you are looking at, let's say, something like 5x squared, that's not a constant. This is a variable with a coefficient of 5. If you take a look at 7x, again, that's not a constant. That's a variable with a coefficient. Now, if I take a look at just, let's say, 18 or negative 12 or 8 or 2, those are all constants. So what does that mean for us here, everyone? What this means is what matters is not the 7x squared or the 3x squared, not the 3x or the 4x, but instead the plus 18 minus negative 12. That's what we care about. We don't need to spend all the time doing the entire expression simplification. No. At the end of the day, this boils down to 18 minus negative 12. And everybody, we know that if we subtract a negative, what does that turn into? Yeah, that's a positive. 18 minus negative 12 turns into 18 plus 12, which is going to not be 6. It's going to be 30. And that's why the correct answer on this one is answer choice C.